This is a bitch, bro. I don't give a what none of y'all saying.
Trippie Redd just hit play and dropped a cold clip of 6ix9ine behind bars.
I don't support bullies or rapists.
The internet instantly went into overdrive. At first, folks thought it was just another troll move until one unsettling detail in that video had people rewinding it twice, and that's where things start getting dark. The footage plus the timing? Yeah, it raised eyebrows. On January 6, 2026, Daniel Hernandez, the rapper everyone knows as Tekashi 69, turned himself into federal custody at MDC Brooklyn. He was there to serve a 3-month sentence for violating his supervised release tied to his 2019 racketeering case. And let's be real, that surrender wasn't quiet at all. 6ix9ine literally live-streamed the whole thing with streamer Aiden Ross, blasting Akon's locked up as federal agents walked and take him. Pure Teatrix. The clips spread across social media fast. We're talking hours. The footage caught 6ix9ine in his final moments before getting booked, cameras everywhere, cracking jokes about which high-profile inmates he might see on the inside. He even joked about possibly bunking near names like Nicolas Maduro and Luigi Mannion. The whole thing felt performative, straight clout chasing, even on the way to the pen. But here's the thing, the reality hit different. This wasn't 6ix9ine's first time at MDC Brooklyn. He'd already been locked up there during his federal racketeering case back in 2018 and 2019. Only this time, he was heading back because of a pattern Judge Paul Engelmayer straight up called repeatedly blowing it, despite the courts showing him serious leniency. Every violation was documented. In October 2024, 6ix9ine got detained in New York after failing drug tests, popping positive for meth and Adderall, plus taking unauthorized trips to Las Vegas and the Dominican Republic, and not even notifying his probation officer about overseas arrests. They held him for 2 full weeks. He ended up catching a 45-day sentence for those violations. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, in December 2025, it really did. He was handed a 90-day sentence for ongoing violations, repeated drug use, failing to report those Dominican Republic arrests, and not completing his community service. Bro just kept fumbling the bag over and over. Footage of his January 2026 surrender has racked up millions of views at this point. It shows a man who once had the Billboard charts on lock getting processed right back into federal custody. And for people who've been following the 6ix9ine saga from day one, that image hits heavy. But for Trippie Redd specifically, that moment means way more than just another headline. See, Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine have real history. They made music together back in 2017. Same label, same wave. Then 6ix9ine went and ordered Trippie to be attacked at a New York hotel lobby, an attack he later admitted to during his federal trial. After that, Trippie spent years clowning 6ix9ine publicly, mocking his testimony in interviews, bringing up the attack anytime the situation came up, never letting it slide. Fast forward to now, and the contrast couldn't be crazier. Trippie Redd is still out here dropping music, hitting the road, doing shows. Meanwhile, 6ix9ine is sitting in a cell at MDC Brooklyn, not expected to touch daylight until spring 2026. The surrender footage, the live stream, the jokes as federal agents take him in, has turned into the latest visual chapter of a beef that's been brewing for almost a decade. But to really understand why this footage hits so hard, why Trippie Redd pressing play on a jailed 6ix9ine carries so much weight, you gotta rewind. Way back. You gotta go back to 2017, to a studio on Sunset Boulevard, to an Airbnb in Venice Beach, to a meeting at 888 Wilshire with Elliot Grange. You gotta understand what they built before everything fell apart. It all starts with a track called Polls 1469, the collaboration that kicked everything off. The year was 2017, and the SoundCloud rap scene was pumping out a new generation of artists faster than anyone could keep up with. And among all those rising names were 2 young dudes with face tats and colored hair who were about to be linked forever. First through music, then through violence, and eventually through one of hip-hop's most bitter rivalries, and one of the most drawn-out beefs in modern rap. Trippie Redd, born Michael Lamar White, was steadily building his buzz off records that caught the underground's attention early. Meanwhile, 6ix9ine, born Daniel Hernandez, was back in New York grinding non-stop, shooting and editing his own videos, hustling wherever he could. He was scraping together money from random gigs just to fund flights to Los Angeles, chasing interviews and collaborations he hoped might finally put him on the map. The connection between them came through Adam, 22 of No Jumper, who had basically turned into a gatekeeper for the entire SoundCloud generation. And 6ix9ine has told this story more times than anyone can count. He always breaks down how he flew out to LA using money he made filming a video for some random guy at Home Depot, only for Adam, 22, to completely ghost him the moment he landed.
So me and Trippie Redd, right? When I meet Trippie Redd, right, I take a flight to do an Adam 22 interview, right? I met him in New York. I told him I needed an interview. He probably like, yo, who's this underground rapper trying to get an interview with me, right?
Yeah, he did your first interview, right?
That didn't answer my call, but thank God he didn't answer my call, right?
It was actually Adam, 22's guy Andrew, better known as Trippie Drew, who really put the battery in 6ix9ine's back with a suggestion that would flip both of their careers upside down. The idea was simple. There was this kid named Trippie Redd who was going crazy on SoundCloud, and maybe 6ix9ine should just slide into his DMs and see what happened.
So Andrew, who's Trippie Drew, said, yo, bro, you should do a song with this kid. He's hot on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So I hit him up on Instagram. He's like, yo, I'm actually a big fan of you. Let's meet up. I really didn't want to do a song with the because I didn't like the Andrew liked the you know what I mean?
The track they ended up cooking up that night at the Hitway studio was Pole's 1469, a collab that helped push both of them forward in the fast-moving SoundCloud rap wave. The chemistry in the room translated immediately into action. Trippie Redd was ready to shoot a video the very next day. 6ix9ine, who was dead broke, but definitely wasn't about to say that out loud, agreed. On one condition, Trippie had to cover everything. They drove out to the desert. Trippie dropped a few hundred on an ATV excursion, and they shot the entire video during what was supposed to be a chill, recreational run. 6ix9ine put those videography skills he'd been sharpening through all his earlier hustles to work, edited the whole thing that same night, and dropped it the very next day. And just like that, momentum was building fast.
And when we do the song, the next day, he's like, yo, let's shoot the video. So I'm like, I ain't got no money. Like, you know what I mean? But I ain't tell him that. You know what I mean? My team know I ain't got no money. I say, all right, bro, you gotta pay for everything. He's like, all right, I got it. So he takes us to the desert. He pays like $200 for the ATV excursion. Remember in the desert?
Yeah, right.
We tell the dude, yo, we gonna shoot a video real quick. We shot the video. And then when the video goes up, they start going crazy.
The video went way harder than either of them ever expected. The response was so crazy it caught the attention of Elliot Grange, son of Lucian Grange, and the label exec who had already signed Trippie Redd. Elliot reached out through mutual connections, asking for a face-to-face with 6ix9ine at his office at 888 Wilshire. That meeting ended with 6ix9ine signing to Elliot Grange around July or August of 2017, officially putting him on the same label as Trippie Redd. At the time, it looked like a straight blessing. Two rising artists from the same wave, already proven they could make heat together, now operating under the infrastructure banner. They followed up Pole's 1469 with another collab called Oi, which only locked in their commercial partnership even more. From the outside looking in, it really felt like the beginning of something real. Two young artists with similar aesthetics, face tats, wild hair colors, that aggressive SoundCloud sound, stacking momentum side by side. Industry insiders were watching them like they might be the next real wave. But underneath all that, tension was already brewing, at least according to 6ix9ine. Later on, he admitted jealousy was creeping in. Same label, same resources, same spotlight. And as 6ix9ine's profile started climbing higher, the dynamic between them began shifting in ways that were impossible to ignore.
I already told you, bro. You just keep doing it, bro. I don't know why you hate on me so much, bro. You lit, bro. You know what I mean? Your music is lit, bro. You signed to the same label, you still hate on me, you try to throw dirt on my name, you try to tell people not to work with me, bro. Man, bro, that's mad corny, bro. Nobody try to blackmail you, bro. Like, you act like a real female, bro.
What started in a studio on Sunset Boulevard was about to crash into something way more destructive. The fallout didn't fade out slowly. Nah, it exploded in full public view, the kind of internet-era spectacle both of these artists seemed almost custom-built for. What once looked like a solid creative partnership turned real quick into an all-out war of accusations, each one nastier than the last. The first major crack came when Trippie Redd hit social media and called 6ix9ine a pedo in front of everybody. The accusation pointed directly at 6ix9ine's 2015 guilty plea involving a 13-year-old girl in a sexual performance, a case that landed him probation, sex offender registration, and mandatory counseling. Trippie didn't soften it at all. His statement was blunt and ruthless. "I'm sorry, bro, 1400 don't promote pedos." That hit 6ix9ine where it hurt the most, a legal past that would follow him forever and get weaponized by his enemies every chance they got. And for Trippie to put that on blast publicly after the collabs and the shared label ties, that was a clear line in the sand. Whatever relationship they had was officially dead and buried. 6ix9ine's response was exactly what you'd expect from the confrontational persona he'd been building. He filmed himself in his car, eating, addressing Trippie's attacks head-on with a mix of confusion, anger, and pure aggression. And that was just the beginning. Everybody was asking the same question. How did things get this nasty, this fast? Two artists who had just dropped successful collabs, signed to the same label, looking like they were about to build something serious together. So what made everything go left almost overnight? According to 6ix9ine, he's always had the same answer in interviews since then: jealousy. He claims that once his profile started rising and label resources began shifting in his direction, Trippie couldn't deal with the competition. In his words, the jealousy wasn't subtle at all, it was loud. "Why else come at me? We were friends. Why else? You tell me. We had commercial success, so why hate on me? I don't get it. Out of nowhere, he just called me a pedo." But 6ix9ine didn't just sit back and play defense. Nah, he fired back with accusations just as explosive. He accused Trippie of having inappropriate relations with Bad Baby when she was underage. Both Trippie and Bad Baby denied it at the time, though she later acknowledged that a kiss had happened between them. The accusations were flying in both directions, each artist trying to completely destroy the other's reputation. This wasn't your average rap beef anymore. It wasn't about bars, streams, or who had the hotter song. This was about credibility, character, and the most serious allegations you can throw in public. And while all of this was going on, 6ix9ine's career was exploding. His single Gummo, which dropped in late 2017, turned him from an underground curiosity into a mainstream phenomenon almost overnight. But what Trippie might not have known at the time, and what 6ix9ine would later admit without hesitation, was that the Gummo beat had been finessed straight from Trippie himself. That detail added a whole new layer to the betrayal. 6ix9ine took a beat Trippie was planning to use, flipped it into his biggest hit ever, and rode it all the way to industry dominance, all while publicly beefing with the same artist he took it from. Cold-blooded. Even the references inside Gummo weren't accidental. Mentions of KB and the title itself were direct shots at Trippie, subliminal dices baked into what became 6ix9ine's signature record. And the success of that song completely flipped the label dynamics that were already creating tension. Trippie had once been the priority signing, but now the spotlight and the resources were shifting fast. The attention, 6ix9ine going viral, flipped the entire equation. And remember, him and Trippie were on the same label. Trippie was supposed to blow first, so all the money, all the push was going into him. But once Gummo took off, everything changed. The streets went crazy. People fell in love with that record. And just like that, the label made the switch. 6ix9ine became the priority, and Trippie got benched. And 6ix9ine didn't hide how much he enjoyed it. Hearing his song on the radio for the first time, watching the roles reverse after all that talk. The reversal of fortunes was complete. 6ix9ine went from secondary artist to the main focus. while Trippie found himself watching from the sidelines. The jealousy 6ix9ine claimed sparked the beef in the first place suddenly felt validated, except now the shoe was on the other foot. Trippie had every reason to feel a way about being pushed aside, while 6ix9ine openly celebrated taking his spot. But the accusations and industry politics? That was just the warm-up. What happened next took this from online trolling to real-life violence, and would eventually be laid out in federal court for everyone to see. The hotel attack. By this point, the beef between Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine had already generated years' worth of toxic energy. Accusations, stolen beats, label favoritism, mutual character assassination, all of it. But in late 2017, things crossed a line that turned a war of words into an actual criminal case. 6ix9ine had linked up with the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, a New York street gang that provided protection, and a crew willing to move on his behalf. When he found out Trippie Redd was in New York shooting a video, he mobilized that whole squad. The attack went down at a New York hotel, and 6ix9ine has never denied his role in it. In fact, he's described it repeatedly, in interviews and under oath, with disturbing detail. Enough detail to make it clear he didn't just order it. He took satisfaction in watching it happen. So yeah, like he said himself, I pled guilty to this. There's even a music video tied to it. He gets the call, yo, the N***** guess here. Asterisk, he says, all right, bet. I'm on my way. He's told this story before, even on The Breakfast Club. Long story short, he follows them. Trippie pulls up in a big whip, stops in front of his hotel, jumps out deep, like 50 heads, looking around, asking what's popping? What's popping? And the way 6ix9ine tells it, the numbers in that assault were deliberately stacked. Trippie had maybe 30 people with him, his crew, his homies, everybody tied to the video shoot. Meanwhile, 6ix9ine and his affiliates rolled up just 4 deep. But the element of surprise and their willingness to instantly escalate to violence completely flipped the situation. Trippie's in the midst of 30 people. It's 4 of us. Remember, I pled guilty to this. This was said in court. Then comes the part that sticks with people. 6ix9ine claims they rocked Trippie's grills straight out of his mouth. Said they flew 10 feet through the air, went spinning through the hotel's revolving doors. Word to my mom, he said. He came in spinning and left spinning. The picture he paints is brutal and humiliating. Trippie's grills, a hip-hop staple, getting knocked clean out in a hotel lobby. His body spinning through the doors like something out of cartoon. Whether that version is exaggerated or not, the assault was real enough that 6ix9ine later pled guilty to ordering it during his federal racketeering case. Trippie Redd's own version, shared on Instagram Live shortly after the attack, tells a very different story. He downplayed the damage while still admitting something went down. According to him, he got punched once in the mouth. That was it, and then his crew handled the rest. The gap between these two accounts couldn't be wider. 6ix9ine describes a full-on beatdown. Trippie says it was a single hit that sparked chaos. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But the fact that 6ix9ine admitted guilt under oath and that the incident made its way into federal racketeering charges tells you it was serious enough to cross a legal line. That hotel attack was the point of no return. Before that, the beef lived online. Accusations on social media, diss records, spicy interviews. After that night, it was physical, documented, and criminal. And Trippie's explanation for why it happened? It doesn't line up with 6ix9ine's jealousy narrative at all. When asked about his situation with 6ix9ine, Trippie started to explain, and that's where the story takes another turn. He basically said he doesn't even know what the issue is anymore. In his words, it's just the internet keeping things alive. He claims 6ix9ine keeps bringing his name up for no reason. According to Trippie, they'd already squashed it. He says they actually pulled up on each other, talked it out, and that 6ix9ine wasn't even on that type of time. Trippie says he was the one ready to fight because, as he put it, he's crazy, while 6ix9ine just wanted to talk things through. That version of events paints a completely different picture. One where Trippie was ready to throw hands and 6ix9ine was trying to de-escalate. The total opposite of 6ix9ine's own chest out, boastful retelling of the hotel assault. Those contradictions pretty much sum up their entire conflict. It was always a fight over the narrative. Who started it? Who was the aggressor? Who was the victim? Whose story was supposed to be accepted as fact? What can't be debated is this: the violence was real. The attack was ordered by 6ix9ine, and it became part of the federal case that would eventually send him to prison. The hotel incident wasn't just another chapter in rap beef. It was literal evidence in a racketeering prosecution. And that changed everything. That brings us to the legal reckoning and the snitch label. The November 2018 federal indictment of Tekashi 6ix9ine marked a total collapse of the persona he'd spent years building. The self-styled street guy. The rapper openly aligned with the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. The artist who ordered hits, flash gang ties and videos, and dared anyone to test him. All of that came crashing down when he was suddenly staring at the very real possibility of spending the rest of his life in federal prison. The charges were heavy and wide-ranging: racketeering, conspiracy, firearms offenses, armed robbery, drug trafficking. Prosecutors didn't just say he was associated with 9 Trey. They alleged he funded gang activity, ordered violent attacks, and played an active role in criminal enterprises that included attempted murder. He was arrested alongside 5 associates and denied bail due to flight risk and concerns he posed a danger to the community. The case against him was overwhelming, airtight, and with a potential life sentence hanging over his head, 6ix9ine made a choice that would define him just as much as his rainbow hair ever did. He flipped. In September 2019, he took the stand and cooperated fully with federal prosecutors. He testified against his former 9 Trey associates, named names, broke down the gang structure, and detailed their criminal operations. And crucially, when it came to Trippie Redd, he admitted under oath that he ordered the hotel attack. The testimony was damning. He laid everything out: crimes, roles, details, the kind of information only someone deeply embedded could provide. And that's where the snitch label was cemented forever. In that courtroom, he traded everything he knew for a lighter sentence. From a legal standpoint, it worked. Instead of life in prison, 6ix9ine was sentenced to 24 months, with 13 months' time served, 5 years of supervised release, and a $35,000 fine. He was released early to home confinement in April 2020, but the reputation damage? That part was permanent, because of asthma concerns and the entire COVID-19 situation. For Trippie Redd, that trial brought a certain kind of vindication. The same guy who had him jumped, embarrassed him online, took his beat, and mocked him publicly was now cooperating with federal authorities, an act that violated the very street codes both of them once claimed to stand on. Trippie's response? He clowned it, openly. He mocked 6ix9ine's courtroom demeanor in interviews, did impressions of his testimony, and brushed him off as a straight goofball. The tables had flipped in a way neither of them could have imagined back when they were recording Pole's 1469 in that Hollywood studio. 6ix9ine had gone on to reach commercial heights that surpassed Trippie's. He'd ordered real-life violence against him, dominated headlines, ruled streaming charts, and now he was a federal cooperator whose testimony helped put his former gang associates behind bars. The years since prison haven't been kind. 6ix9ine has tried to resurrect his career while carrying the permanent stain of the snitch label. His music still generates attention, but the dominance he once had has clearly faded. More importantly, his legal issues just keep piling up. The pattern of violations that led to his January 2026 incarceration paints the picture of someone who either can't or won't follow the rules of supervised release. The October 2023 arrest in the Dominican Republic for assaulting music producers. The January 2024 arrest for violating a domestic violence-related restraining order. Failed drug tests. Unauthorized travel. Each incident added another strike to a record filled with second chances that kept getting wasted. Judge Paul Engelmayer, who's overseen 6ix9ine's case throughout, summed it up with visible frustration. The defendant, in his words, kept blowing it despite repeated opportunities for rehabilitation. The 3-month sentence handed down in December 2025, which 6ix9ine began serving on January 6, 2026, Was the accumulated cost of years of non-compliance finally catching up to him? And that surrender footage? It says everything. 6ix9ine live streaming himself getting taken into federal custody. Akon's locked up playing as agents processed him, turning his own incarceration into content. Performing for the cameras right up until the cuffs clicked. Still clinging to the provocateur persona, even as it led him straight back behind bars. For Trippie Redd, watching all of this unfold has to carry a certain weight. The man who ordered his assault is back in federal custody, serving time for violations tied directly to the very cooperation agreement that once saved him, that permanently branded him a snitch. A rivalry that started in a Hollywood studio, escalated to a New York hotel lobby, and peaked inside a federal courtroom has now entered yet another chapter, with 6ix9ine behind bars and Trippie watching from the outside. And make no mistake, this beef never really ended. There's been no public reconciliation, no apologies, no real attempt to bury the past. 6ix9ine still brings up Trippie in streams and interviews, and Trippie still brushes him off whenever his name comes up. Same energy years later. The footage from 6ix9ine's surrender just becomes another artifact in a conflict that's generated non-stop content for hip-hop fans. What started as two hungry artists chasing a SoundCloud dream turned into a case study on how fast collaboration can rot into animosity, how fame magnifies tension, and how choices made chasing credibility can haunt artists long after the clout fades. As of January 2026, 6ix9ine sits in MDC Brooklyn, set to serve his sentence through early spring. Trippie Redd continues moving freely, career intact, watching it all play out from a distance. The clips keep circulating, the tension stays alive, and the story? It's still unfinished. So now the real question is this. Was that footage just Trippie trolling for attention, or was it a calculated shot at 6ix9ine in a beef that never actually died?